Hi everyone, so I'm going to be cheating a little bit in this book review because I didn't read the book. The book is in my Amazon basket, but what I decided to do instead, so this will be a different type of book review, is that I decided to watch a few interviews. I've seen lots of interviews of this person, so the book, let's just talk about the book still, is called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And I listened to some interviews, which I've been listening to his interviews online. I've listened to some of the book summaries. I've got a good idea of what the book's about. I will buy the book probably one day, but we're down to the last few books now. I've done number 50. I've literally got 3 more books to go. Is it 3? No, there's not 53 weeks in a year. 2 more books to go. And so I thought, because I didn't want to kind of waste the opportunity, and this book is so good, everyone's talking about it, I just want to talk about a few things that I've got from the summaries and from the interviews and from what I know about the person. So David Goggins, probably about 2 years ago, you can Google, I was on YouTube and I saw this guy in an interview and he was going hardcore. This guy was saying, pain is, you learn from pain. I put myself in positions where I suffer. I put myself in positions where I'm in pain. He was talking about running marathons and he injured his ankle and he carried on running. And he said, he's done this and he's done this. And I was thinking, whoa, this guy's intense. And I was thinking he's a bit of a sadist. That was my first thought, because this guy was just like, pain. Pain is good and you need to suffer. And I was, whoa. And then the other part though, I was intrigued. I thought, wow, like I've not heard someone talk like that before, like the way he was talking. And so I found out a bit more. So then each time I was looking at these interviews with this person and then hearing more about his life, then I think the other bit that I connected with is, because I'm a counsellor, obviously, when he was talking about his childhood stuff and the abuse that he's been through and just the tough experiences he had and also the racism he suffered and just he's had a learning difficulty, that was really like powerful stuff and really emotional stuff. So then I thought, you know what? I want to find out more. So when I was watching the recent interview that I've been watching, which led me up to do this book review, because at first I was thinking, do you know what, I'll just, there's too many books and I've only got two more opportunities. I thought I'll just leave that one out. But then I thought, let's check it out and see what he's about. So what he was talking about in his interview, I've got some quotes, and I actually put a quote from what he said, which was one of the quotes that I did the shorts about, which I don't know if I've added it to this channel or to TikTok, was he said, in order to find peace, you have to go to war with yourself. And everyone in the comments when he was saying that was talking about that one quote out of the whole hour and 30-minute interview. And what he was saying when he was talking about that is that if there are things and demons within you or things from your childhood or things that are really preventing you from getting somewhere in life or just holding you back, you don't go to the person who caused it for the closure, and you don't go to external. He basically said no one's going to come and rescue you, no one's going to save you. He was talking about experiences that he's had at school where he was racism and someone had put the N-word on his book, and he said he said they've spelt it wrong. He said this person's ignorant, they've put Niger instead of the other word. And when I heard that, I'm just thinking, imagine being a child and like being able to be that rational and like, being able to just be like, yeah, so what? Do you know what I mean? They're ignorant, they can't spell, rather than getting angry. But what he was saying is he was going through so much things. There was so much going on in his life. I mean, when you're listening to this guy, and when he was doing the interview, they were saying in the book there's even more stuff. But he was telling things in the interview that are not even in the book. But when he was talking about how he was in a household where there was domestic violence, where he literally heard his dad beating his mum up outside of his room, and his 8-year-old boy and he's jumping on his dad's back, and he's just, then his dad's beating him, and then just everything that he's been through, was just a lot. And even I'm looking at this person talking and I'm thinking, wow, you've actually survived all of that. And then he said, that's why where he is today, compared to like what he's been through, is that's the testament. And that's why he's so powerful. When you're listening to this person, it's like, I don't know where it is. I mean, I think I'd be too intimidated to meet him. I was saying to myself, as I was watching, I'm thinking, I wish I could meet this guy. But then I thought I'd probably be scared and I'd be intimidated, because he's got, you know, when someone has presence and even like their energy, but also it's just because he's so powerful with how he articulates what he's been through. Now, this guy has had sickle cell. He went through the Navy and he kept like failing all the tests, and he was saying he kept going back and going back. I think he got discharged in the end, not medically. I think there was another reason. I think he was saying, then there was things like, what was he talking about? I better read it. I should be, some of the notes I was taking. He was just saying he described his dad as a devil. His dad was always drunk and was physically abusive, cheated on his mum, dragged his mum down the stairs, beat it on his mum and stuff. It beat him black and blue from head to toe. He said literally the only part of his body that wasn't covered in bruises was his face, because his dad beat him like from his head, you know. And it's just, when you're hearing like these stories, I know that as a social worker for 22 years, when I was a social worker, I would read the files, and then you put the face of the child in front of you, and even then I couldn't like get my head around it, like why someone would like beat on a child. And then you're seeing these beautiful, wonderful children that you're working with, and they're just happy and they're protected and they're safe. And then you hear the file or read what they've been through, and you just think, why? Do you know what I mean? So for this person to have gone through what he did, and he's still like telling his story, and he's still achieved so much in his life. And he said he doesn't want to win, he just wants to go the distance. So he talks about he was fighting this battle every day, and where he was looking in the mirror and he was calling himself names, and he was posting things about himself. And you could tell when he was talking about this in the interview that he was getting really emotional. I was even being touched by what he was saying, because he said he was fighting this battle where, because of what he'd been through and everything that people had said to him, part of that was still in his mind. You know, you're useless, you're worthless, you're not going to amount to anything, you can't do anything. But the other part was saying, let's write all these things down, let's smash all these things, and then so that I can push through those, so that I don't believe it anymore. So that's where he's saying for peace, you have to take the war on with yourself. It doesn't matter how many people tell you something or do something to you. It doesn't matter how much things are put in your way to break you. You have, that war is always going on with you. So he said, no one's coming to rescue you, no one's saving you. You have to fight for yourself. And I think when he was saying that, it was just like powerful stuff. So he talked about doing 60 marathons. He's 60. This guy is known as the toughest man alive. That's what some people like regard him as. I mean, if you type his name into Google or YouTube, there's just loads about him. His book has obviously been a bestseller. He said that when he was his leg got fractured when he was training to become a Navy SEAL, and he said that he taped up his fractured leg and said, my options are either to go through the pain and just get through the training, or just to not become a Navy SEAL. That's all the options were. Now imagine someone even then just thinking to yourself, do you know what? My option isn't to just quit. I haven't got an option to cry. I haven't got an option to tell someone, oh, my leg's in pain. Those was his only two options. Because even his mindset then was thinking, I've either got to get through the pain by just putting this tape on it and getting on with it, or I've got to, or it's not going to happen. So he'd already started behaving in that way. So it's the person who was interviewing him said, this is like a documentary, your life is like a documentary, you should have a film made about your life. David was saying, what happens to you doesn't define you. He said that, you know, he also went through other things. His stepdad got murdered. He was stressed due to childhood, and that caused him to lose his hair and stuff. He had a stutter, he had a learning difficulty, he got sickle cell, all sorts of things. And he just talks about the ups and downs of his life. And he said that, you know, we allow our mind to be hijacked. So this guy is definitely talking about mindset stuff. He said, you know, you can think about all those things that have happened to you, and you can just dwell on them, and you can just let that define you as a person, or you can define yourself. You know, he says you don't have to allow your mind to be hijacked. He also had, what was he talking about? Weight loss. So he had a weight problem. He lost lots of weight. I think he's well known in the weight loss community as well, because I'm sure I've seen him people as inspire because he lost a lot of weight. He said he's done lots of rubbish jobs. He was a cockroach, what's it called? He was a Terminator. I don't know what they're even called, bug Terminator or whatever it is in America. And he did that job, and he did lots of other jobs, and he says he's just had lots of ups and downs. And he just said, you know, I had to make myself into who I am now by becoming mentally tough. So he said he was depressed, he was insecure, he had a bad life, but he didn't want that to be the end of his journey. So he decided that he was going to become a mentally tough person. He was going to, you know, get rid of those demons. And one of the things he said is that it's good to be uncomfortable. You can learn from pain. He said when he was old enough in his 20s, he went to see his dad, who had done all these things to him, and his dad hadn't changed. His dad wasn't apologetic. His dad wasn't acknowledging all that stuff that he'd done. And so he decided that he was going to see his dad. He was just going to call that closure. He got what he needed, and then that's it. He wasn't expecting anything from his dad, and that's when he was saying, you know, you have to look in the mirror and saying you're going to change. And he looked in the mirror. He said he decided he was going to change. He decided he was going to do what he needed to do. His mindset, he was saying his mindset, even at school, was that no one's going to help me. He was talking about like racism, not only from the children, but also racism from some of the teachers. And then he said he would just realised that he had to either stand out at school, so he did things to be different. He tried to be cool so that he wasn't bullied. But then he also said that his mindset was that he was going to just get the best that he could do. So he would have tutors. And he said even now, if there's a problem or an issue, he'll say, what do I need to do to get to where I need to get to? He's very practical, very logical. I mean, I think he would be someone that I would love to interview him. I'd love to spend time around this person. Would I want to? Do you know what I'd be interested in hearing what he's got to say. But the intensity, like, of this person, and I suppose deep down he's still like fighting this war between everything that's happened in younger years, where he is now, how people see him, and probably there's times where he looks back on his past and thinks about that. There's so much going on with this person. Very interesting, like, character. And the book is called by David Goggins. It's called Can't Hurt Me. And there's a picture of him on the front of the book in his Navy SEAL uniform. That's something he goes and talks to other veterans. He talks and is a motivational speaker. There's loads of information about him on YouTube. So yeah, you know, maybe I will buy the book as well. But for now, that's my review. You can get book summaries, you can get the book on Amazon, but you can also find lots of information online. So thanks for watching. Feel free to leave your comments. If you've read the book, leave some comments about that as well. And I'll see you all soon. Bye.